What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's HorrorFan34, and welcome to another video. And I guess welcome to a huge update, a huge Blu-ray and DVD update haul. Got a lot of stuff to show you guys that I've gotten over a while now, over a period of time. So I figured I'd show you guys the stuff I got. So I have 7 DVDs to show you guys. And I think from what I counted, I think 21 or 22 Blu-rays. Now, some of them you've probably already seen before in like convention recaps, especially the Monster Mania one, but I figured I'd show those again and talk about them a little bit more in this update. Now, I'm going to do the same thing I did with like the convention recaps and all that stuff. If you see like a cut here and there, like at the end of the videos and all that stuff, like I just don't feel like, doing a whole lot of parts and, like, stopping the camera every second and things like that, you know what I mean? Unless the camera does freeze, then I have no other choice. But, so what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to take my time and just explaining it no matter how long the video goes. That way I can just do it in parts. So that way I can just do it all in one sitting and not have to keep doing, like, 15-minute clips after another, just pausing the camera, stop recording, and then record again and do another part. I just figured I'd just do it all in one sitting, and then when I work on the videos, I'll just splice together 15-minute increments here and there, and things like that. So you get what I mean. So I'll go through the DVDs first, and then I'll do the Blu-rays last. So the first DVD I got here, of course, I showed this before in the convention recap for Monster Mania, but Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge. Now, of course, this is a DVD-R. One of the vendors that they have over at Monster Mania is a really good vendor where they have like a whole rack of DVD-Rs of movies that are probably very rare or probably really expensive to get on DVD because they're out of print. So this is like a good way to get like rarer stuff that like maybe it's not on DVD or it's out of print and worth a lot of money, so you can get it cheaper this way. And this was definitely one of them I was really looking forward to getting for my collection. Excuse me for the coughing. My throat is really dry. But this is basically a slasher film inside of a mall. Basically, it deals with this guy. Like, it opens with her and her boyfriend, this girlfriend and boyfriend. Her boyfriend gets burned in a fire, and she thinks that he's dead. Then a year goes by later, the mall, like his house burns down, and then a new mall gets built over that. But you turn to find out that he's not dead. He's going to haunt the mall, and he's killing people off in the mall. It's a really fun 80s like slasher film. It's got some nice gore in there. And yes, it does have a very early role by Pauly Shore before he was famous with Encino Man and Son-in-Law, things like that, because this was 1988. So you do have an early supporting role by Pauly Shore as one of the friends of like the clique of friends who works in one of the shops in the mall. But I was just really glad to get this for my collection, especially for the Pauly Shore collection. Because this DVD goes for a lot of money. Like, the actual DVD, I mean, goes for a lot of money. And I think it's VHS PS. They do a really good job with, like, a lot of, like, rarer movies. Like, they convert any film from VHS to DVD. And you can find some good stuff. Like, that's how I found things like Meet the Applegates. And, hell, I saw, like, Scanner Cop, which is pretty hard to get. That's pretty cool. But I was really glad to find this one. So, Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge. Fun little 80s slasher. Now, these are some of the DVDs that I got more recently, I think yesterday. But Terminator 3, to complete my Terminator collection. I actually find the sequel very underrated. We kind of talked more about this when me and my buddies on the Movie Busters did a Terminator show together. And we went through all the Terminators from the original classic all the way up until the new one, Dark Fate. But we all agreed that this is an underrated sequel, probably the most underrated movie of the franchise. I know it gets some hate, but I don't understand it. I think it's a pretty fun movie. Arnold comes back. I really like Nick Stahl as John Connor. You have Claire Danes. I think Christina Loken did a good job as the villain. Also, pretty well directed too by Jonathan Mostow, same guy that directed Breakdown with Kurt Russell. But I enjoyed the sequel, Terminator 3. This one was pretty cool here for my Chuck Norris collection. It's a 3-pack that has Hellbound, The Hitman, and Forced Vengeance. Hellbound is sort of like the one of the 3 other, like, you figure 3 films that he did that were kind of a horror film, like, and this is one of the other ones, because you figure he did like Silent Rage, which is sort of like Chuck Norris put into like a Michael Myers type movie. Excuse me, I'm sorry for I have indigestion problems tonight with burping, so hopefully I don't have to pause every second. So so you figure Silent Rage was sort of like a horror film, like slasher vibe, and then you had, if you count Hero and the Terror, which is Chuck Norris going after a serial killer, more of like a thriller aspect. And this one, Hellbound, which is basically Chuck Norris versus the devil. Sort of like in the vein of End of Days, sort of in a way. Kind of before End of Days, where you had an action hero versus the devil. In this case, it is Chuck Norris. And his partner is Calvin Levels from Adventures in Babysitting, as his partner. I like Christopher Neame as the demon. Directed by Aaron Norris. That's of course the younger brother of Chuck Norris, and he later in Chuck Norris's career he did a lot of Chuck Norris's films. He did He did The Hitman. He did Hellbound. I think he did Missing in Action 3. I want to say he did Sidekick. I think he did Sidekicks as well, and I think he also did Top Dog. I could be wrong on that. Like a lot of the later Chuck Norris films that his younger brother directed. But Hellbound is great. It's a pretty underrated Chuck Norris film that no one talks about. Then you have The Hitman, which is basically Chuck Norris pretending to be a hitman who's going after this mob, which is pretty good. And Forced Vengeance is just a really fun movie where Chuck Norris plays a security guy who he has friends of this casino that get killed, like these managers by these mob people, and he goes after them and just kicks a lot of butt. So it was and this 3-pack on Amazon goes for about like a little over $20 or something like that. So found this used for $4. Can't go wrong with that for the Chuck Norris collection. To complete this, Lethal Weapon 4 completes my Lethal Weapon collection. I got this for $1. It's definitely my least favorite Lethal Weapon film, but I still like the film overall. But it's definitely nowhere near as good as the first 3 films, especially not as good as the first or the third one, in my opinion. I am sorry for the burp. And the last one I got that was the more recent DVD that I got yesterday was this film. I know this is on Blu-ray, I think from, I want to say Kino Lorber, but I found this for like $3, and excuse me, I am sorry for the burps with this indigestion stuff, I apologize. But I found this for a couple bucks, and I figured I get it. But Tank, pretty fun action film, Tank, where you have James Garner, may he rest in peace, from Space Cowboys and a lot of other stuff. He plays a sergeant who is completing his stint of duty in the Army. He comes back to his hometown, and you have this crazy sheriff played by G.D. Spradlin. That's a guy you've seen in a lot of films like Ed Wood and a lot of other stuff. He's a crazy sheriff, and he decides to get revenge because James Garner helped defend this woman from this crazy sheriff, and the sheriff decides to avenge that. And he basically puts James Garner's son, played by C. Thomas Howell, into jail on a drug charge. That's a phony drug charge. So then James Garner wants to get revenge on the sheriff, and he decides to go to town on this tank that he has, and decides to kick some butt. For a PG film, pretty fun action film in my opinion. I like Tank. Now these two here, oh my god, excuse me for the burp. I apologize. Now these two I got a while back at one of my local pawn shops, and I found these both for $1 a piece. And I know these films go for a ton of money on Amazon. I think these are out of print. At least one of them is. I know the other one's not really as much out of print, but it goes for like $30 or something on Amazon. So, find both of these for $1. I figured, why the heck not? So, I picked up Richard Pryor live in concert. Really fun stand-up for Richard Pryor. Needed this for my Richard Pryor collection. Now I have all the stand-ups of his. This was the only one I needed because I already had Here and Now and Live on the Sunset Strip. So that get this for $1. And this is the one that goes for like almost $30. So really happy to find this for $1. And the other one here I found for $1, I know goes for a crazy amount of money. I think this goes for almost $50. And it is One Night with Dice, which is an Andrew Dice Clay stand-up. One of his early stand-ups, I think he did this in I want to say he did this in 87? Or 1989? Seemed like it was earlier than that. It had to have been like 1987 or something. It actually took place in Philadelphia, actually, at one of the comedy centers here in Philadelphia back in the 80s. But Andrew Dice Clay, I had to get this for the Andrew Dice Clay collection. I'm a big fan of Andrew Dice Clay stand-up. Love them in Fort Fairlane and Point Doom and things like that. So to have another one of his stand-ups and finding this for $1, considering how much this is out of print, pretty good find for me, in my opinion. I was glad to find that one for $1. Okay, so those were the DVDs. I'll put those aside here. Put those aside right there. All right. Now we're getting on to the Blu-rays that I got. So there's going to be a lot of them. The first two I'll show that I got from the convention that you've seen already, but Drive from the MVD Rewind collection. Really fun action film with Mark Dacascos, Kadeem Hardison, and the late great Brittany Murphy. You also have Tracy Walter, who was the main Joker's henchman in Tim Burton's Batman. This is just the pure definition of PM entertainment action. It's a lot of really fun action. I love the dynamic between Mark Dacascos and Kadeem Hardison. I like Brittany Murphy as well. Sanaa Lathan, who was in Blade, she has a role in this. And overall, I mean, this is just a pure definition of 90s action, PM entertainment. And I love that cover, you know, because like MVD always does a good job with like those retro covers where it's like Be Kind Rewind and the action sticker, things like that. Excuse me for the burp. And of course, has the reversible original poster art for the film in there as well. But that's Drive. And also, you saw this one already, but I figured I'd show it again. But Maniac on Blu-ray. This is the 3-disc limited edition from Blue Underground. I never owned the original Maniac ever on DVD or Blu-ray, so I figured when I saw this at the convention, I figured I would grab it. But this is a really nice set from Blue Underground. Has a ton of special features. 2 commentary tracks. Like making up documentary, interviews, outtakes, and it even has disc 3, which I think is I want to say disc 3 is the soundtrack, I think, which is pretty cool, which is why it's a 3-disc. But definitely one of the best 80s horror films out there. Definitely one of the best slashers, in my opinion. It's definitely one of my personal favorite slashers. I love the original Maniac. Although the remake with Elijah Wood's pretty good, but I still prefer Joe Spinell as the Maniac. Okay, so now we're going to get on to the ones that you haven't seen yet before. Now, these are from either ranging from today or like a while back.